Love the linen paper.
Yes, thank you, Carol. I'm so glad that we're recording now. All right, welcome to the paper party. We'll talk a little bit about the papers. I'll talk about the hostess paper at the end. But we're going to start with the linen paper. And I find it really busy. And so I think using it in little pieces, this was actually a swap card that I got from somebody. And I've never seen a card like this, like using this kind of window sheet as a holder. But I did like her kind of using small pieces of it, which I thought was really nice. So the card that we are going to make is somewhere. Hold on. Oh, here it is. Thank goodness. Yay. That's the last thing I needed was a pile of my finished cards. So this is the card we're going to make. And I'm going to zoom in just a little bit, but hopefully keeping it really level and straight. Okay. So this is the card we're going to make. It's a note card. And we're going to make a couple note cards to start off with. So this is a white note card. You have 3 note cards in your kit. They're smaller. You have a white, a craft, and a very vanilla. We're going to use the white one first. And I just took the end of my 6x12 sheet and I cut an inch off of all of them. So I've got a little snip of all of my papers. And so we're going to create this really cool kind of quilt looking piece. And this is a lot easier to do than you think it is. When I first did this, I was like, oh, there's no way I can do this. And then I finally figured it out. I was like, oh, yay, this isn't as hard as it looks. So in your packet, you have your little band for your sentiment. And then you have your card base, and then you have a piece of Sweet Sorbet, one of the new in colors. And so on your Sweet Sorbet, you're just going to start with a piece that you really like, because you'll probably see there's these 2 pieces. The first 2 pieces you pick are the ones you're probably going to see the most of. I happen to really like, there's one I like a lot. And of course, all our paper is double-sided, right? So it always makes me like, which one do I really like? All right. I think I want to use, this one and this one. Okay. So I'm going to use these 2. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to angle this one first, kind of across the card. And you can angle it as much as you want. You can have it really angled. It doesn't really matter, but you're going to glue this one down first. And then, let's see, I think this glue, this will be fine. All right, so I'm just gonna put some glue on the middle, and I'm gonna glue this one down, maybe right about here. All right, and if I was being conservative with the paper, which I can be, maybe, let's find out how good's my glue. I could always glue one end of it down. Go a little bit, closer to the edge like that. Okay. And then this one, I'm just going to tee right against here. So whatever angle makes that an even space, you're just going to leave a little space between these guys, and whatever angle makes the most sense there. So I'm just going to glue this end down, and I'm going to kind of put that right about there. And now we just start to add more pieces to it. So, you might say, okay, I want to do maybe this piece here. And so I'll go ahead and glue this here. And I just try to keep the spacing consistent, between the two pieces. And then maybe we need a piece of green. Maybe I don't know, that's not my favorite green, but okay, I'll use it. And I try to balance the colors, like I don't try to have like a bunch of blues next to each other or a bunch of whatever. And then let's say that I want to use the back side of one of these. Then I'm going to come with my scissors and I'm just going to flip it over and I'm going to trim off what I don't need. And by doing that, then it kind of gives me even like more paper choices depending on, you know, what I want on the front. And sometimes they have glue on them, so you can't use them, but it's okay. This is a fun way to put a little quilt together. All right, so now I can look at my other choices and say, okay, yes, you know, maybe I want, there's that, I like that blue. So I like this blue piece, but I don't think that the two blues go together very well. So I might just put this blue piece like over here. So I do like this striped piece. All right, so, and I try to cover all the pieces and all the corners. So sometimes that means you're putting like really, like I've got this tiny little corner here. And so I'll put, you know, a really tiny little piece, you know, right here, just so that I can make sure that I've got, make sure all my corners are covered. And this piece, nope. I'm like, nope, that one would go really well. Do that. So I think this is a fun way to use up your paper. It's definitely not a very expected way, but you know, especially if it's a paper that you don't quite know what to do with, which for the most part with Stampin' Up, I don't find that's the case, but every once in a while I get a weird paper and I'm like, I don't like it, or I don't know what to do with it. This was definitely not my favorite. If it's your favorite, I'm sorry, but and you know, there might be other wonderful cards that come along that I'm like, oh yeah, that's a beautiful design. But the other thing that might make me like this paper is if I ran it through like an embossing folder or something like that might make me like it more. I don't know. But when it's all together, I think it's really nice. They definitely designed all these pieces at one time to really coordinate well with one another. Like sometimes pieces kind of stand on their own, but I think in this case, these were all designed to coordinate with one another really well. All right, so once you kind of have pulled all those pieces, and you can decide if there's, you know, scraps worth saving. These are all really tiny. I'm not sure that these are worth it. So one of the things I did on the inside of mine is a few of these scraps. I wondered what it would look like to kind of just glue them on the inside like this. I don't know that I love it, but I'm glad I tried it. And so I didn't take a picture of it or put it in the directions for you.
Okay, but it's kind of a cool idea.
It is. I think I would have liked it better if the card was bigger. I think it ate a lot of space on the inside. So maybe if these were half, you know, like I think almost like if they were half of the thickness, maybe I would like it better. But it almost looks like washi tape or something. So plus this really is my favorite pattern of all of them. You all have favorites, right? Tell me I'm not the only person that has favorites. Like,
No, you have my favorites.
you have to have favorites. All right, so once you've got your design, then you can get your piece and you can decide what you want to stamp. While you guys are kind of cutting that stuff, I'll talk a little bit about the stamp set. So Charming Sentiments is a really cool stamp set. I do like the variety of fonts, and I feel like when I made this class, I think that all the cards honestly look like they could have had their own stamp set. Like the fonts are so different. There's some really fat kind of, you know, cursive looking ones. There's some cool like mixed fonts. There's some, you know, ones that are sans serifed and serifed. And I really enjoyed the fact that they all look so different. The coordinating dies, so I didn't focus on them because most people didn't get the coordinating dies, but I'll show how they work tonight, and I can kind of talk a little bit about the extra pieces, but they fussy cut all the sentiments. So that's kind of cool because then you have a way to cut out a sentiment without having to do it yourself. So for instance, this one fits, I believe it fits this one. Yeah. The wishing you the happiest of birthdays. And so what's nice about that is then you can fussy cut your piece out, and then you have a really cool tight, you know, sentiment piece on the front. So I'll actually stamp this one and do that. I did use a punch on the end of your, on the end of this one. And it's the Lovely Labels Pick a Punch, which is a nice punch, but I will show you how to do this one. And I stamped this one in Night of Navy. You know, you could do black. I mean, you could probably get away with black on most of these, and I think it would be okay. You could do Sweet Sorbet. You know, you have a lot of choices when it comes to this one.
Great, I can't find that.
All right. Georgia, do you have questions yet? You're doing good. All right, so I'm going to stamp this one on here, but then I'm going to die cut it with the little special tiny die, just so you can see the difference between using the dies and not.
Oh, I know what's in here. Oh, wishing you the hell.
And I will say it's a very tight cut. Like the kerning on the top and the bottom and the left and the right is really tight. So you do have to aim it really well, or like put a piece of washi tape on there to make sure your die doesn't move. But it's cute, you know, it's a tiny little sentiment. I think that I would probably, maybe I would run it on here a little bit different than I would this one. I think this sentiment, I almost think it doesn't show up as well though when it's cut like this. I think it just stands out a little bit better when it's cut like that, but that's my personal opinion. It's almost like I want to mount it on something else because it can't compete with the sentiment or with the background. So I'm just going to glue this quilt piece on flat. And then I'm going to pop this piece up with a few little dimensionals. I wondered where all my tools were, and it's because I had taken them with me. And so that makes more sense. I was like, where did all my tools go? Well, they were in my little baggie. Of course. They're right where they belonged. All right. So that is the first card and kind of gets us oriented to what we're working on. I think that one is probably one of the more detailed ones. A few of the other ones are a little bit easier. So, And then just remember that if at some point you're like, ah, I'm so behind, you can always skip a card and you can, you know, come back to it on the recording. The PDF is pretty good, I think, and gives you all the cut measurements and stuff. And so, you know, but if you need to, and if you ever have questions, you can always email me too, and I'm happy to, or call me. I'm happy to answer them. So with this one, I just went ahead and, you know, it's cut out. And so I just kind of put it on an angle. I thought that was kind of cute. So, but you can do whatever you want. So there's kind of the original and then the little fussy cut one. Wishing you the happiest of birthdays. And you can see the angles are different on both of those, and it doesn't really matter. Like, they're both cute cards. And they both have, you know, fun and interesting patterns. So if you wanted to keep them consistent, let's say you're going to make 20 of these, you could measure like your tick marks of where you start and end, you know, and you could keep your angles more similar. But on this one, I didn't care. So. All right. So card number 1. Excellent. I'm going to tuck that away. Maybe. Maybe not. Okay. Now, the next card is the craft card. So this is the craft envelope. And we're going to use the Forest Friends paper. This is the one with the mushrooms and the bears and all this. This is really cute paper. And this is the card that we're going to make. We're going to decorate our envelope on this one, only because I really love this mushroom paper. I think it's very, very, very cute. So. And clean my stamp. I'll be a good steward. So while we're kind of transitioning to the next card, I'll tell you a couple things about this paper and a little bit about these note cards too. So the craft note cards come in a package of 20. And they come with a box. So you can actually make like a set of 20 note cards, and then it has a craft box that comes with it. So you can make a box set of cards and envelopes, which is really nice. We used to have craft note cards and envelopes, and then they took them away for a while. And I'm really glad they brought them back, because I think they really add something, you know, to our crafting. But it's just not, we just haven't had them in quite some time. A little bit about the paper. So there is a sheet that has a scene on it. And I'm going to kind of pull out and recreate the piece. So, you know, everybody in the paper party gets a half of each patterned sheet. So in this case, one person got the half that has this little fox on it, and one person got the half that has the little bear on it. So you each got a cute little critter and a piece that maybe is less as cute. There is a really cute bear and fox stamp in the stamp set, so just FYI. If you got the piece that has the fox, I would recommend using the fox piece. If you got the piece that has the little bear, I'd recommend using the little bear for this card. So you're going to kind of be selective about this. The other pieces of paper are really cool. So there is, here's the like little tail end of my fox. I later regretted cutting his tail off. So just FYI, I think I would trim this side versus this side, but you know, you make choices, you live with them, you know. There's the mushroom paper, which is really nice. You've also got a sheet that is these really cool trees, and it's got a little bit of foresty feel down here. I'll show you later a really nice way that you could maybe use a long ways piece, but I've also seen people cut cards and have them like fold so that you would like almost like pull up and out the card. So you could use a full panel of this tree and you could make a really cool kind of tall card with it. So just FYI, you also got a sheet that has some like leaves. And then there's a sheet that has some like tree stumps and pieces. And then there's another sheet that has lots of little bears and foxes. This is a really cute sheet. I would highly recommend, you can cut these little guys out and use them. And then the B side of these is like a kind of almost like a V shape, heart shape, a plus sign kind of pattern. It's more abstract, something that looks like tree rings to me, some vines. And then the B side to this is like a really pretty soft yellow. And the B side to the mushrooms are these cute little red hearts. So it's really cute paper. I think it's all pretty usable paper. This is great if you have, kids or, people who are having babies. It makes really cute baby cards. I think it's an adorable paper. And they did a really lovely job illustrating this. So this is all hand illustrated. And then, they take the pieces and they like recreate it. And I thought they just did a really nice job with this. So this card, we're just going to use a piece of this paper, and it's a small piece. We're just using a piece that's 4 3/4 by 3 1/4. So I'm going to get my paper trimmer. I'm going to use the little bear one this time. And I want it to be 3 1/4 wide. So 3 1/4 wide. Hello, Mr. Bear. And then I need it to be about 4 3/4 tall. And so I'll come this way. So let me think about this. I'm going to get my arm out. Hold on. 4 3/4 tall. There we go. Now I am cutting it weirdly because I'm trying to not, I don't want to cut this piece yet. And so I was trying to kind of cut around the little bear guy. He's kind of funny. Yeah. If that looked really awkward to you, that is why. And then we need a piece for the envelope that is about 2 1/2 by 5 1/2. And you could use, whatever pattern paper you want. I just think the mushrooms are cute. And then in your kit, you have a piece of the, you have like a punch out piece from Old Olive, which is a coordinating color. And then this new ribbon that I can't remember the name of ever. Someday. Natural Finish ribbon. That's what it's called. Natural Finish. So the Natural Finish ribbon you can actually stamp on, which is kind of cool. So you can stamp on it. You can color on it. It's made to take ink, which is kind of neat. So I just used it as a little like banner back behind here, but you could do, whatever you want with it. It's up to you. So what I did was I really let the DSP be the show, right? The star of the show here. And I'm just putting the DSP on the card front. Now, the one thing with our note cards is if you have a bone folder, I would recommend that you use a bone folder on the note cards, only because they need to be creased well. Like they definitely need a little extra creasing, I feel like. And then I did put a little strip on the inside. I thought it was kind of cute just to have a little strip of DSP on the inside. I thought that yellow was really cute, but that's just me being extra and it's completely not necessary. But all right, so I'm going to stamp the babies are a blessing sentiment, which is in here somewhere. Let's see, where are the babies?
What did I do with it?
And I just did this in black. All right, so there's our sentiment. And then you can kind of decide, you know, do I want to use the ribbon? How do I want to use the ribbon? You could make it a little, you know, banner or tassel, you know, from the bottom. You know, you could, if you wanted to, lay it down kind of flat and stick this on top. You could, you know, run it top and bottom. It's up to you. I'm actually probably not going to use it on this one only because I think it'll block the bear and I think the bear is really cute. So I'm choosing not to use it on this one. But it's nice ribbon. It ties nice bows. This came off earlier and when I stuck it back on, I don't think I stuck it back on now. Yeah. All right, babies are a blessing, whether they're bears, foxes, or owls. And then putting, if you've never done DSP on your envelope, I usually, you know, fold the envelope just to make sure. Hey, Lynn, glad you're here. Don't worry, we're just on card number 2. So we got, I know we got a slow start. You're just going to make sure you put your DSP on the correct way, right? So mushrooms do have a top and a bottom. So you're just going to, I like to put adhesive on the envelope flap itself. And I usually do 3 strips, 1 towards the top, 1 in the middle, and 1 in the bottom. And then I line up my envelope. Sometimes it's easier to like close the envelope and put it on there. And then, you know, just press really well. And then when you flip it over, then you'll be able to kind of see, you know, where you need to cut and where you need to take away. So we'll pick up the pace, I'm sure. All right. So this is card number 2. The next note card's pretty simple. It's definitely an interesting set of paper. We'll talk a little bit about that one. So the next, I have my hand out just to keep myself honest. So the Pretty Prince DSP is really interesting because it comes in 4 colors and you each got kind of a selection or a piece. And so, but there are 4, like one sheet kind of has an overall pattern. One sheet also has an overall pattern. And then one sheet has this like you know, it's almost made for scrapbooking, right? Because it has like more pattern in the bottom and no pattern on the top. So I tried to rotate it and give you each kind of a variety because it's in Blackberry Bliss, Calypso Coral, Mossy Meadow, and Bermuda Bay. Yeah. And so I tried to give everybody got kind of a variety of pieces. And so you can decide, you know, which one you want to use to do this. All I did was I cut a 1-inch strip from each of them. So it's a monochromatic card. I used Calypso Coral, and you have a Very Vanilla Note card, and you have Calypso Coral. You have a little piece of Calypso Coral. I went ahead and like fussy cut mine out. I used the dies just to show you kind of how close the dies get to the letters. I think there's no way I would fussy cut like this. This is crazy, but I know there are people who would do that. I know, Lynn, I know. Crazy, but we need this part to be 4.5, no, 4.25. So let me trim this guy down, 4.25. So this design is pretty, you know, this is a pretty standard design. I like using the busier sides of this paper and, you know, kind of stair stepping it down. You could make them even. I think the stair step is maybe a little more interesting. Again, with these note cards, make sure you bone fold it so it lays nice and flat. And I'm just going to glue. I'm going to start. Like I'm going to do my bottom right. And then I'm going to do my top left. And then I'm going to do the middle and pray that I can center it. Always a challenge, I know. There we go. And then on the original card, I made just a little banner bottom, and you guys have that postage piece cut out. With this one, I think what I decided I was going to do was I'm actually going to have it on here kind of mounted. So I'm going to, this is a new ribbon from the spring catalog, and it does fray quite a bit. So if you wanted to get a lighter out and like, you know, burnish the edges or whatever, I wouldn't blame you because this one's it's a fuzzy one. It feels really nice, but it's fuzzy. And then I'm going to, I'm actually probably going to glue this one down. I could pop it up on dimensionals, but I'm scared it won't stick to this ribbon. And so I'm going to use some green glue. And I'm going to just glue this one down on the card front. I think it's going to stick better. I could be wrong, but who knows, right? But there, that's a little different. Cute. I will say this paper is probably not as popular as some of the other papers. Like I haven't seen as many swaps with this. I haven't gotten a lot of swaps with this. I was going to show you the one swap that I had gotten with that Forest Friends, only because it was quite amazing. Let me see if I can find it. It was pretty cute though. But you know, sometimes you get a swap and you're like, oh, that's amazing. And other times you're like, yeah, that's okay. This one was pretty cool. So I felt it was worth showing you. So this was the Forest Friends swap that I had gotten. So they stamped obviously the big bear, and they actually stamped in like die cut. I mean, this is definitely not just the DSP, but it's one of those cute little stair step cards. I thought that was a really cute card. Look at that bear. He's huge though. Like he definitely commands the card for sure. So, okay, so that's the Pretty Prince. So that's not hard. That one's easy. And you could do the same thing. You could dress up the envelope or whatever. So, okay. The next one is the Butterfly Kisses Dsp. And it's called the library or the book fold because we're going to glue down this panel. So only this piece is going to open. So this is going to stay shut. It's Orchid Oasis or Starry Sky. I think that I ran low on the new in colors when I was kind of prepping these. I think everybody got kind of a different card base, but I tried to keep it in either of these colors. And then you have a, yep, that color. Oh, Fresh Freesia. You have a Fresh Freesia stylish die piece that's been cut out, and that hey there fits super cute on there. It's really a neat sentiment. I like the font on that one a lot. And then you have a white piece. This is the piece that's going to go on the inside. So your little white panel. And then you have a circle also cut from the stylish shapes dies. And then we're going to fussy cut this little butterfly. So I wasn't too sure about these butterflies and I thought they were a little weird looking at first, but I have come to love them. And I think they're really cute. So the butterflies, there's lots of pages that have the larger butterflies. And so you're just going to want to find one of the larger butterflies that you like. And then you'll find a coordinating couple pieces of DSP. This is, free will for you, so to speak, on this one. So you can do, whatever you want and whatever makes sense to you. I'm going to probably stick to close to what I had from before, which is I like this kind of monochromatic look. And then these little, I know they're butterfly wings, but to me, they look like little hearts. I thought that was really cute. So that panel is going to be 1 inch by 5 1/4. And so we'll just cut a little, I'll go this way, cut a little 1 inch strip and 5 1/4. And then I think this one's, look and see. It's definitely 5 1/4, good, but it needs to be 3. So I just need to trim just a wee bit off the edge of that one. Good, so we've got those 2 pieces, and then we've got that, and now we just need the butterfly. So then you can pick, which little butterfly you want to cut out. I did fussy cut his little antennas. Things got dicey just for a minute there. He survived, I think I might want this one. I'm going for a specific butterfly. What's nice is there's several sheets of these, so you're not gonna feel like you've, wasted paper because you've got plenty of these little guys to cut out. One of my goals with this kind of this paper party was to show you how you don't always have to buy all the coordinating stamp sets that go with all of the papers. Like I feel like, we get a new catalog and there's just such beautiful things. But honestly, you can get one really nice, stamp set and with some really good sentiments and a variety of fonts. And then you can kind of play with the paper and you can make a lot of different cards that have a lot of different purposes and feelings, right? This is a fun one to send a friend, but others are good for baby showers or birthdays or whatever. So I just kind of wanted to highlight the papers. And I think doing this process has definitely helped me appreciate the papers more and all the work you know, that goes into the papers because they do a lot of design work to come up with these papers. And then they do, you know, some of them are hand painted. Some of them are done on the computer, but still by hand, drawn by hand, you know, digitally. Some of them are actually painted or drawn with pen and ink or with, you know, acrylic paint, oil paint, watercolor. So it's kind of cool to see their process and how they go about creating all the papers and why. Yeah. They all have a different mood, that's for sure. All right, so we're fussy cutting our cute little butterfly here. I think I have successfully cut him out without cutting off any body parts, so that's good. All right, so I've got my pieces. And hopefully I didn't throw away anything important. Oh, I think I did. Oh no, there we go. Good. All right, so the way this card goes together, this is kind of a fun fold. It's definitely a bonus. You're gonna glue the inner piece of the flap that has the fold on it. So just glue that down and then you can kind of fold that back so that Lynn, oh yeah, I know. Lynn, yes, the nails are fabulous. I finally grew my nails out and then they were gonna break. And so I put these little nail stickers on them or whatever, and it makes them last and they're very wild. Oh, that's funny. You saw stamps at an antique store, Stampin' Up stamps for $3. You know, it's amazing what you can find. I mean, you know, lots of stampers out there and definitely trying to, you know, I know one lady called me, a friend of mine, her mom was a huge Stampin' Up fan. And she passed away and she's like, what do I do with all these stamps? And I was like, I can help you sell them. Like, well, you know, we'll sell them $3 a piece. That's definitely underpriced. Yeah. Like for a stamp set, that's crazy. So we're going to put our little strip right there to make our little fold. And then we're going to put this white panel on the inside. Nice to have a little space to write, especially on a dark, you know, a dark card. And then I'm going to put this panel. Oh, it's still a little wide. All right, I found a wrong measurement. Remember I told you guys there might be a wrong measurement. 2 3/4. Oh, I found it. All right. The good news is it's just smaller than what I had. So as I mentioned, I will correct that on the PDF I send out to you. So this panel is just 2 3/4 wide. So we're just trimming another tiny piece off. All right, so that parakeet party, y'all. I'm not ready for it. That is some lime green. I don't know. Maybe by next spring I'll be ready for it, but it is bright. All right, so now I've got my little fold. I've got that. I've got my cute little butterfly. Always so cute. So I'm just gonna glue the circle down flat. And I'm gonna glue it a little bit north of midway because I wanna have room for the little sentiment too. I did put the butterfly up on dimensionals. I thought he needed a little bit of height and I thought that would be a good way to do it. And so I get some more dimensionals. And use up those edges, right? He doesn't need a ton, but. And then we're going to get that hey there sentiment. I did stamp it in Starry Sky, but you could stamp it in Night of Navy. You could stamp it in, you know, Gorgeous Grape even would be cute. Like, here he is. And I think this font, the What's New and the Hey There these are my 2 favorite fonts in the set. I do really like the faith over fear. And I like that everything will be okay, but I don't know. I like that font. I cannot lie. Hey there. You can see the stamp set's been well loved already. Very well loved. And again, you could just use black. You can use whatever you got, right? Doesn't matter. There's enough other colors in most of these cards that you don't have to add more color in order to make this, work. And then I just popped it up on dimensionals and kind of, stuck it near the butterfly, but I didn't want to cover him too much, but he's super cute. Obviously 2 cards, 2 different looks, but still really fun, and the butterflies definitely make a difference, which one you use. He's probably a more traditional butterfly, and this one's one of the more kind of crazier looking ones, but they're still really cute. I love them both equally. Okay, so Abigail Rose. All right. So Abigail Rose, the paper is a mix of Very Vanilla and Whisper White, which Stampin' Up! Has done before, and it drove me crazy in the beginning, but I now accept that you can mix Very Vanilla and Whisper White in the same designer series paper, and it'll be a-okay. But I had a hard time with this at first. So this is a really cool card. It is a pocket card, and you're actually using the DSP as the place where you're going to be able to write, which is kind of cool. So I really like this card. I hope you do too. It's my favorite. Actually, it ended up being my favorite of all of them, and I really loved it. The size is tight in terms of you can get it in the envelope. But it's tight. So you might need to like tuck the little tab in when you stick it in the envelope. So just FYI, the sizing is it's a little funky. But I had followed someone's like outside measurements and then was like, oh, that's weird. And I'm like, well, okay, we've done it. So we're there. So that was that. So you're going to use, for this one, I used a strip of the dark, kind of one of the darker sheets. There's a couple of them. And then you're going to need a piece of the paper that's like the gridded paper. And then you're also going to need a flower from the really pretty flowery floral piece. Even if you have a piece like this that maybe gets cut off a little bit here and there, you can still make it work. And I'm going to show you how, because I don't want anyone to think, oh, I can only get one flower out of here because I only have one full flower. So one thing you can do when you have partials is you can cut several of them out together and you can kind of layer them on top of one another, which is kind of cool. Sometimes you can even see like where they matched up. And so see how like now I've kind of matched that up. And so pretty darn close. And so, sometimes you can match them up and get them to coordinate. Other times you can just kind of layer them and they look good together. When you have a piece that kind of hangs off the end, you can choose to kind of like say, okay, well, if that leaf is coming off the end, I can go around it, or I could just pretend like it doesn't exist. And I can literally just kind of cut it off. So you can cut the partials off, or you can, like I could just come in and say, I'm going to pretend like none of these tiny flowers exist. I'm just going to cut that whole set off and no one will know the difference. And that's perfectly acceptable. If that's kind of, how you want to get a little more bang for your buck from some of these larger floral images. So I'm just going to go around here and I'm going to fussy cut a flower with some leaves. And some little flowers. And you can spend as much or as little time doing this as you want. For someone who hates fussy cutting, I know you do a heck of a job. Aw, thanks, Lynn. That's really sweet. I was gonna say for someone who hates fussy cutting, I sure did include a lot of it in this class, but yeah, I have found I've gotten better at it. That's for sure. It is slightly therapeutic. I now think I understand why people like it, but I'm still not gonna claim to be a lover. I think it's just my hand cramps up. I think that's why I don't like doing it, because it actually, in the end, like my hand hurts. I would never do this for like multiples. Like there are people who will just like fussy cut for like Christmas cards and whatever. And I'm like, oh God, no. Like I can't commit to a night of this. My hand can commit to like 2 cards, 3 cards. And pipe up if you have questions or concerns or comments or whatever. So with these kind of pieces, I think on the sample, yeah, so on the sample, you'll see that I didn't include these kind of floofy pieces. Maybe with this one I will, only because I think if I chop them off, I think the whole thing might turn out kind of weird looking. But you know, you can just kind of go around them, and again, none of this has to be perfect, but the key to fussy cutting, right, is you keep your cutting hand straight. Like my cutting hand isn't moving. It's my paper hand. I'm moving the paper, not the hand that cuts. That's the key. Paper dolls. Yeah, maybe, you know, I did a lot of paper dolls when I was a kid. I know I don't seem like I'm old enough. I enjoyed a lot of like, well, my mom was from the Netherlands, remember? So they had some, like I did a lot of origami in Holland, paper dolls. I was sufficiently bored in the summer. You know, I was ready to go back to school when school started. I believe that's the mark of a good summer. Summer that makes your children want to go back to school. All right, definitely messed that up, but that's okay. No big deal. All right, there we go. We got a flower. We're good. Whew. All right. So in order to make the envelope dimensions, kind of the outer card dimensions, are 6 by 9. So you're not going to need, it's not 6 by 12. So I'm going to cut, go ahead and get my little extra arm out. 6 by 9. And then you're going to score at 2 1/4 and 6 1/4 on this long side. So I always move my dark cutting blade out of the way when I'm going to score, because if not, I'll mess it up. So 2 1/4 and 6 1/4. And then on the short side, you're just going to score at 3/8, which is, you know, 1. So like this is 4ths, this is 8ths, so 3/8 is like right there. It's pretty small. See, and I almost cut it. Got to be careful. And then we're going to trim away a little bit. Oh, and the note print paper is 3.5 by 5.5. So let's just cut that while we're here. 3.5 by 5. 3.5. Okay. Very good. So all of these are extra paper. I'm going to move all my extra paper out of the way so we can see what we're doing. The only thing I'll mention about this is that a lot of people have been adding a little bit of color to these flowers. And then I've seen a lot of really beautiful cards being made with the tulipy sheet that's in here. There's a beautiful kind of tulip pattern, and they're adding just a touch of pink on the edges of these. And they're beautiful. So just, you know, if you have a little petal pink or something and you want to, that tulip paper is really pretty. Okay. So this is going to go together. We're going to kind of fold this together. This is our seam in the back, right? Where the two pieces come together. And then you're going to clip away these two kind of outer pieces so that all we have left is this piece that's going to fold back. You could try to fold the whole set back, but I think this looks really ugly to have this kind of lip here. So if I just take my little scissors and hopefully I can see, I'm just going to, I might have to cut on the other side. Sometimes it's hard for me to see the contrast. So I'm going to cut that little corner from here, and I'm going to cut the same corner from the other side. All right, good. So when the two pieces come together, now we have a little bottom envelope part, right? So we're just going to put some adhesive here. We're going to put a little adhesive here, and it's just about wide enough for some snail or, you know, stamp and seal or whatever kind of adhesive you've got. Nice. So now we have a cute little envelope. We do need to punch a little kind of, you know, cutaway piece here. You could use any punch you have. If you have a circle punch, or if you have, really honestly, any punch will do. We have that double oval punch, and that was the easiest for me to kind of say, okay, let me go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and kind of get this in here, and it might be easier to punch it away when you haven't glued it together, by the way, but it'll work either way. We got it done. All right, so now we've got that little cutaway so we can see what we're doing there. And then in your kit, you have the piece of Very Vanilla that you're going to attach your piece to. This seems a little off. So, you know, Who's off? Am I off? I'm always off. 5 1/4. Okay. That's 5 1/4. Oh, good. Okay. No big deal. I will just probably center it and call it a day. I think I'll be okay with that. So I'm going to, oh, I like the back too. I really like the front. So. You know what? I'm going to pull it down a little bit, and I'll do the whole on the top. And then you should all have a piece of ribbon. This is a really nice new ribbon that ties really nice bows, and it's a Very Vanilla and silver metallic edge cotton ribbon, and it's really soft and easy to work with. So hopefully you get a couple of ideas of fun things that you might want to try, or, you know, I don't have an intention to give you 1,000 new embellishments from here, but I do like to, you know, have you guys experience some of the new stuff. So we're just gonna put our little piece through here. And then, So I think this is a lovely wedding card. So I made mine a congratulations because I felt like this was very, wedding-esque with a really beautiful flower. And then this little snippet that you can stamp the congratulations on. So for me, this was definitely a wedding card. And I did pop up this on dimensionals, and I also popped the sentiment on dimensionals too. And I just stamped the congratulations. And I did it in black because, it matches. All right, questions so far? How are we doing? Doing pretty good. I almost forgot I had class tonight. It's a good thing that many people messaged me throughout the day and said, I'm going to run late, or I can't be there, but please record it. Or I thought I was going to be there, but so we have quite a few people who are joining the class later. And hi guys, nice to see you. And so I'm happy that, even in the summer we could have a class, because I know summer's tough and everybody's kind of running, this way and that. So
I love this card.
Oh, good. This is my favorite. I know
Beautiful.
you're not supposed to have favorites, but this one's definitely, yeah. And I like that it uses up a lot of designer series paper. I feel like sometimes, we have these big, especially like I probably wouldn't use this brown any other way, and I'm looking at it now. It kind of looks like it's unidirectional. Like maybe I used it upside down. I think I might have, but that's okay. No big deal. We're going to go this way. I'm glad you like this card. That makes me happy. I like this card too. That flower definitely goes up like that. There we go. We'll go, down here for that one. Yeah, this is definitely my favorite. Good. All right. So onward, upwards. Let us see. Oh, this one's fun too. Okay. So the next set is with the masculine paper. And I actually did this one as a mystery stamping card. And so you, oh, that's weird, but that's not the next one in the kit. Okay. All right. Well, let me pull out. All right. So it has an early espresso piece, and it has a white piece, and then another white piece. Is this the next one in the directions? Let me see. I might have gotten out of order. I did. All right. So we're going to do project 7, which is the masculine card. Then we'll go back to project 6. So project 7 is the masculine card, and it requires some weird shaped pieces. It's kind of like the last one. So this piece is just a single 4 1/4 by 5 1/4. And then your white cardstock is 4 by 10, and it's scored at 5. You've also got a little stitched rectangle that's in your set. And then from your DSP, you need to cut 2 pieces that are 3 1/2 by 3 1/2. And then you need to cut a 1 by 12 inch like strip. And then you need to use one of the label pieces. So this gives me a good opportunity to talk about this paper and how this was no fun to divide. So what I did was I took all the pieces, all these little die cut pieces, and I put them in a little clear envelope for you, and I split them up as best I could. There's quite the variety. A lot of people who did a paper share just didn't give their people this sheet, or they literally cut it in half, which to me would have been really sad because you would have lost a lot of these little images. So you each have a little clear envelope with a variety of these pieces in it, and you can decide which one you want to use. You know, it could be that you have, you know, different pieces than I have, and that's okay. I just want you to know that everybody kind of ended up with some different pieces on that one. It was a really hard set to have to divide. Happy with the way I did it, but I think that it was more complicated than it needed to be. So 3.5 by 3.5. We just need 2 of those. Okay. Oh, and then a 1 by, that's right. 1 by 12. All right. But I don't want it to go that way. Hold on. I am directionally challenged on this piece of paper. Uh-oh. That's not the direction I want. Well, maybe I'll do this. Sorry. I'll do the grilling one because it's all right. With little piggies. Oh, it's paper. That's funny. All right. I'll also, when I send out the email, I'll put a link. I have some of these like 12 by 12 like paper holder folders that I got that are a little bit sturdier than like what we get our paper in. And it's been really good to hold this set that kind of, I've used a lot of pieces and there's half pieces and it's a pretty sturdy kind of vinyl. And it even has like a tab where you can like put a sticker that has the name of the DSP. So I'll send that out to you guys just because when people see my office and they see all my paper holders, they're like, oh, how do you have that arranged? So, okay. So let's take a look at this. So this piece is just going to have the little sentiment on it. And then this ends up making a little belly band. I don't know, Lynn, how much they are. It's a good question. I will look it up for sure. And I'll definitely send it to you. I do not remember. And then this piece opens and you have the sentiment on the inside. So there's a couple ways that you can adhere the paper. You can adhere the paper on the inside of this, which I do think kind of looks cool. The other option is that you can adhere the paper on the back of the set. And so I'm going to show you how to do that on this one. So I like to kind of score it, and I just stick half of it behind the double set. And then I kind of know, luckily the lines line up on this one pretty well. And so then I'm like, all right. So then I flip the whole set over and glue on the back. And so put some glue here. Make sure that lines up before I glue it down. And then I'm a lefty, so I can only glue with my left hand. My husband and I are having that conversation. I'm pretty ambidextrous, but apparently I cannot glue with either hand. All right. So in this case, I've actually glued it. I've actually glued it on the back side of the whole set. And I would stamp in here. With this one, I've actually glued it to the inside front cover. So you can do it however you want. You know, I think it's a little bit cleaner and it looks a little cleaner like this. And then I think the Beyond Grateful sentiment is really nice for Father's Day. So I will use that one again, because I think it's a good one for the dads to hear. And I did use early espresso, but again, you can use black or whatever you want. This font is a funny font. Like it's quite, it's kind of a playful font. It's a funny one. All right. So I'm just gonna center it, stamp that guy. That was not my best stamping. That's okay. All right, and then we're gonna glue that whole set to the front of this piece. I will tell you, when I first saw this card and the measurements, I was like, what's happening? What are we doing? But now that I've made this card several times, I understand what I'm doing. There we go. We're going to take our designer series paper, this little 12-inch piece, and we can kind of wrap it around. I'm going to trim just a little bit. I think it could be a little shorter. There we go. I'm just going to glue a little bit where it overlaps. And then I've got my rectangular piece, and I'm just going to glue where it overlaps the piece here. And then I will pop this guy up on dimensionals. I'm out of normal size dimensionals, but I actually think I'm going to change. I think I want to do this Holy Smokes, You're the Best, because I think it's really funny. So, and it goes with my grilling pattern here. So these are like weird spare dimensionals I had from some other project. They're like the strips, the dimensional strips. They'll work. I have an order coming in Monday, so that's cute. Okay, so fold it back together. Now, most dads will need help opening this, though. I'm just saying. They're not going to know to slip this little belly band off. But it's okay. Most guys, you know, if given a little assistance, I'm sure they can figure it out. So. All right, so my second favorite card is this next one. Again, we don't have favorites, but we do. My goal is to be done by 9. So just FYI, if you're wondering kind of what my pacing is, this is a lot of cards. I mentioned that to Carol when we first started. I was like, wow, this is a lot of design work to design around all these papers. And yeah, it was a lot. So this is the Hues of Happiness Designer Series paper. For those of you who've been around for a while, you know that I like to do a fold that features all of the color. So this is one way that you can do it, is to make a card base of the Designer Series paper. This paper is truly gorgeous. And it is a pleasure to get to play around with it. There are multiple sheets that feature this full color kind of wash. You have this purple and kind of blue and teal. And then you also have a whole spread of the yellows and the pinks and the oranges and everything. So this is a beautiful, beautiful set, and hopefully you enjoy playing with this paper as much as I have, because I do love it. I think it's a lot of fun. So the you can cut a flower from the other sheet. So like in this case, I just cut one of the pinks to match and go with this. With this one, I might cut maybe one of the yellows out just because I think the yellow would pop and would look really nice with these blues. You can also try to, you know, preserve and keep a piece. This panel is 4 by 11. So you're only going to cut off 1 inch from the end. So you know, it makes it a little bit harder, I think, to make a decision about what you want to, you know, which one you want to cut and use. But we are going to fussy cut a little flower. And then you can also fussy cut one of the leaf sets as well. So if there's a leaf, you know, a leaf that's convenient to the flower you're cutting, go ahead and cut that guy out too. And the reason I cut out the leaves, like the reason I cut it out before trying to cut it out is it just makes it easier to manipulate a smaller sheet of paper. Like it's just much easier to rotate this than it is to rotate the really big sheets. And don't worry if it gets past your bedtime and you're ready to go to sleep. It's okay. I'm recording it. Carol made sure. Thank goodness. And then it'll take a little bit of time for it to buffer and for me to upload it. So I'll have it uploaded, I would say definitely by the morning. If I get it uploaded before then, that's great, but I will send it out, I promise, as soon as I get it uploaded and it has time to process and buffer. But the longer the recording, the longer it takes to upload it and for it to do its thing. I do put it on YouTube. I don't leave it on Zoom because Zoom has started charging a lot for storage and YouTube does not charge for storage, which is very nice of them. If you're ever wondering about where to store your videos, that might be a good choice. All right. So and then this card base needs to be scored at 2 3/4 and 8 1/4. Basically, you're just wanting it to, you know, meet in the middle. And 2 3/4. And then it's just 2 3/4 from the other side or 8 1/4, whichever way you work. I'm pretty sure this is 11. Hopefully I did this right. All right, so we're just gonna bring the two together, meet them in the middle. And then your kit has 2 pieces in it. It has this label piece, which is actually from the Painted Poppies label dies. And so that is going to be your cover piece. And then the inside is from the scalloped dies. And that kind of adds a little bit of substance and a writing area to the inside panel. Just try to frame that on the inside, left and right. And then just make sure on the front that you only glue down one side, not both sides. Just don't seal your card shut. And that's the key there. And this one uses the Faith Over Fear sentiment. And I did stamp this one in either Night of Navy or Sorry Sky. Oh no. Which way? I want this one. around the right. I do like this font as well. And you can zhuzh these up, you know, you can add some rhinestones, or you can add, you know, you can add whatever you want to add to the cards. This is how I remember to only do half, is I like take the piece and I flip it over and I cover half of it with my hands so I don't glue the whole thing shut, because I've been known to glue both sides of this piece. So just glue one half, not the other half. And then I did just glue this down flat, but you can, you know, you can do whatever you want. You could put it up on dimensionals. I might make this one look a little bit different. This paper is really pretty. There, that's nice. Those are two very, yeah, different cards, but nice cards. Anytime we have like a full spectrum of color, this is a great way to showcase it on the inside. So that one was easy, I think. But satisfactory. Yay, I'm glad you like it, Lynn. In case no one else sees the comments, Lynn is messaging me direct, and so I'm not just having a conversation with myself, and I'm not making them up either. So, but you know, I like to pull her into the conversation. So, okay, let's do the next one. So, I was actually shocked that Stampin' Up kept, this is project number 8, they kept the jar, the mason jar punch. And I really like it. And so when I saw this paper, I knew I wanted to do something with the mason jar punch. So you have a balmy blue card base, you have a mason jar, and you have a little bit of twine. And so I would recommend that you add the twine after you glue it to the card base. It's really hard to tie this twine around the mason jar while it's like loose. So we'll wait to add it until we get it onto the front. But we're going to stamp this super fantastic Mega News to the front. This is also a fun stamp, and I like the font. I think it's very fun. And I stamped it in Calypso Coral. I'm going to stamp this one in Mary Merlot. Mary Merlot is one of the colors in the Awash in Beauty. And I think it's an underrated color. And so I kind of want you to see how it changes the tone of the card by just stamping it in that kind of deeper, darker color. So that is the Mary Merlot. And then we're going to get our Awash in Beauty designer series paper out. Stuff's gorgeous. This was definitely hand painted by the artist at Stampin' Up. You do have several blossoms that you can choose from, and then you can pick the background that you want to pick. I just really liked this blue. I thought it was really soft and pretty. But you can decide, you know, which floral piece you want to put on the front. I'm gonna do this other one here. I know, I'm crazy. I don't know that we've ever had this much designer series paper. And of course, a lot of these sets come with dies that cut these flowers out. So, I mean, that's even nicer than us having to do it ourselves. But I don't know that we've had this much paper that looks so good, you know, that lent itself to so much, you know, fussy cutting, but it begged for it. So. All right, so this is a pretty standard, you know, card front piece. So 4 by 5 1/4. And now we're just gonna glue that down. Maybe. There we go. So the good news is that by the time you're finished, you'll have 12 cards and you'll definitely have a lot of really good ideas, you know? A fussy cutting convert. Oh my gosh, you're so funny. You crack me up. So it's possible. It's possible. And I don't know. I don't know if I'm willing to admit such things. So it's pretty funny. I always grumble about fussy cutting, but I do think this paper is, you know, I think these flowers are really cute. And I think they, you know, you could also just cut them out with like a circle die or something, you know, and have a really nice little circular, you know, floral piece. There's a lot of other ways to use the paper that has these kind of big florals on it. The last paper, that Hues of Happiness, there's a flower die and someone cut out all the flowers out of one and it was like, I don't know, 100 flowers. I don't know. It was some ridiculous number of flowers. I was like, wow, that's a lot. I was impressed at their stick-to-itiveness in die cutting that many. But I think they wanted to see just how many flowers they could get out of one pack of DSP. It's quite a lot. So it is nice when they have dies that will cut it out though. Oh, let's see what's going on. Oh, low power mode. Okay, there we go. All right, we're back. Sorry. That's what happens when you have a full day of excitement. Go into low power mode. All right. And again, the same with this one. Like if you said, you know what, I don't want to cut out these little blue things, or I don't want to, you know, whatever, you can do that. And you can skip a whole section just by, you know, trimming them off. You also can choose kind of how deep, you know, and how detailed you want to go on some of these. So that's, you know, completely up to you. Like right there, I could have said, no, I'm not doing that blue one. I could have just lopped him off. No one would have ever known. All right. So the other thing I would point out with this paper is that there's a sheet that is, yeah, this sheet. So there's a sheet in here and I was careful to cut it when I cut it for you so that you have a whole swath of this. This makes really fast, easy, beautiful card fronts. So you can get, you know, 3 nice full card fronts out of this. And you can even like stamp a sentiment just up on this white space as well. So I just wanted you, like, I didn't design around that one because I felt like that one was really easy to use. But I wanted to point it out because they definitely made that, you know, for card makers. Sometimes you'll see a paper and you know that it's been made for like scrapbookers because at a 12 by 12 glance, it's really gorgeous. But sometimes when they do that split page, you know that they've done that for card makers so that it's easy for us to just cut it, you know, and then get like 6 card fronts out of a full 12 by 12 sheet. So, and that one, all the work is done for you. Like those are really pretty all by themselves. All right, questions about any of the designer paper we've messed with so far? I think we've got, so we have 4 left, but they're pretty easy. So I will, there's no magic of television on this one. Like nobody's gonna whisk in and fussy cut this for me for sure. But I also don't want us up too late. So the last 4 that we have the Sun Prince DSP, which is really usable paper. It has a lot of different prints, and we're going to use a few sheets from that. The Perfectly Penciled is the black and white. And they definitely did like a charcoal pencil with that set. It's really pretty, really usable. There's also florals on one side and patterns on the other. So if you're not like, if you're like, and that's enough floral for me, you can just use the geometric side on that one. And that one's really cool too. And then the teacups. I cut the teacups for you, so you don't have anything to cut there, which is nice. And then the last one is the texture sheet, and that one's not super hard. So, okay, so we're going to pop up some things on some dimensionals. Now, with this one, I will say this floral piece is a little bit larger than this one. So like I need to be careful about where I put it on my card. This is a much smaller, you know, bouquet. I don't think I can, no, it's too big to go that way. So we're going to keep it here. And I'm going to take a couple of these dimensionals and we're going to run them on the back. So as I was mentioning, I like to glue down this mason jar first before trying to get my twine around it to tie. See how easy this is to tie now that this is all glued down? And you'll just have to trust me if you don't believe me, because I have tried to chase tiny things around and I find it's easier just to glue them down and then tie the twine on and make a little bow. So this is the linen thread that we have that, you know, if they ever did away with it, I would be incredibly sad. It's kind of my versatile, like I think it can look cute on masculine projects. It looks cute on feminine projects. Like it's a cute twine. And now we've got our giant flowers. And so I'm just gonna like wedge the flowers kind of in here and decide where I wanna put the dimensionals on the back. And I'm only gonna put dimensionals on, like I'm not gonna go all the way out. I left a lot of these like flowers kind of loose. And I didn't dimensional under them because I don't think it's necessary. Like we can have some, you know, kind of loose flowing flowers. They can get a little bent, it's okay. So do you guys like the Mary Merlot or the Calypso Coral? Which is your favorite? Like, which one? Do you have a preference?
Mary Merlot.
Mary Merlot, very nice. Thank you for your vote. Lynn, do you have a vote?
Yeah, I texted you, Merlot.
Oh, Merlot, there you go. Hey, look at you. All right, I cut off a flower. It was in my way. That's how you solve the problem. You cut the flower. Yeah, I think the Merlot looks really nice. The Calypso Coral's nice, but the Merlot really picks up those dark tones in there. So yeah, agreed. Small flowers, big flowers, flowers done. All right, last
So
one.
pretty. So pretty.
Yeah, I really like that one. I thought it came out nice. So, all right, here we go. Home stretch. Sun Prince. This card is, here's the card. So we're just layering a bunch of pieces together. I embossed this with the Fern embossing folder, which is really nice. I definitely think it coordinates and goes well with this. And then the DSP pieces that you need a strip of 1 by 5 1/4. So that's this little stripe. I use the stripe. I really like the stripe. It's my favorite. Don't tell the other guys. And then the other piece you need is a piece that is 3 by 4 3/4. So I'm going to trim this one down just a little bit. 4 3/4. A wee bit. Just a tiny, tiny bit. And then I need a little strip of the stripes. 1, 5 1/4. So my 2 new favorite ink colors are Starry Sky and the Orchid Oasis. Those are my two faves. And this one features Starry Sky and Night of Navy. So it's got like a nice kind of mix of all of them. So this is just a bunch of layering. So we're going to take the Starry Sky piece and we're going to glue it to the card front and cover up all the white if you can. If not, such is life. I might have, I spilled over a little bit, but that's okay. And then we're going to take the fern and we're going to glue the fern down. Is that my Fitbit telling me I need to exercise? I already exercised today. Carol, I thought of you because last weekend we went to Top Golf and we were golfing. My husband has the worst swing on the planet.
Did he have fun? Did he have fun?
Yes, we both had a great time.
Good.
He has a wicked slice, and it's because he hits it like a baseball.
Yeah.
And I've tried, he's watched me, like he tries to correct his form, like he knows what he's doing wrong. I just can't fix it. And he can't hit a driver. It's really weird. Like I grew up with drivers, so like I can hit a driver really well and really straight and no problem. My short game stinks, but yeah, he's terrible, just terrible. But I thought of you last weekend. I was like, oh, Carol would enjoy this conversation as we were chuckling. All right. And then this one, I used the Essential Tag Punch. I thought it fit the sentiment really well. That everything is okay. Everything will be okay. Hopefully, maybe, we'll see. All right, let's get this guy clean. That Mary Merlot, it really stains the ink though, stains the stamp, that's for sure. That's a fun shape. And I think it stands out on the card for sure because we've got this dark base. So. But lots of layers on this one is the key. And I think with this paper, there's a lot of really interesting textures. And so you have the opportunity for some really nice cards. You just get a lot of, texture pieces. And I think you can, make a really nice card with this paper. It's really easy. My mother-in-law did the birds in the cage with this paper. And I'm going to just show you. I know I was pulling out a few samples to show you. Oh, and I wanted to show you this. This is the, for those of you that got the specialty pack, that's the vellum that comes with this. And I think that's really cool. And so I wanted to show you. And then this is, I use the wreath and I cut the DSP out and you can get a really nice layered look. And then I use some of the DSP and it's that mystery stamping. It's that same that we did with the masculine. But then this was the little birds. And the birds are so cute on the sunprint. I thought they were really cute with their little gold cage. So this paper has definitely been popular. It's been popular with me. I've used it a lot because I like the blues. But anyways, hopefully you like the design. And I think that one's not too hard. Okay. So number 10 is go. So this is the perfectly penciled DSP. And this one's cool because you're going to cut 2 pieces that are 2 3/4 by 2. And then you're going to, that's probably the direction I missed, cut them in half and then cut them on the bias. So no, that's not true. You're going to just cut them on the bias. So I cut them 2 by 2 by 2 3/4. Yeah. And so I just cut them and then I cut them in half and then kind of cut them on a bias or on the triangle. What happens when you do that is you get all these fun pieces and then you can kind of decide, do I want to do florals or do I want to use some of the geometric prints? And on this one, I'm going to do the geometric prints because I wanted to kind of play a little bit with that. And I think, unfortunately, you can only do them a certain way. It's very bizarre. Yeah, that's bizarre. But I think I'm going to do, no? Like a little puzzle. You gotta put your puzzle together. So when you have that, then you can glue that to your piece of pool party. And then I found that I didn't have, my corners were kind of a little messy up at the top. So I was very happy to be able to put the sentiment towards the top. But you'll take your pieces and, you know, just make sure you leave a little bit of a border that seems even. And I realize as I'm laying these down, I'm like laying them down differently than I did before, which is really bizarre, but that's okay, you know? They're like little puzzle pieces. They'll all fit together. That's like upside down. I did. Haha. There we go. There we go. All right. So this one I used all the florals. This one I used more of the geometric prints. Both of them, the good luck fits really well. On here, take a sip of drink. Good luck. Where is good luck? There we go. I just used pimento. Oh, I almost made a big mess. I recovered. Whenever you have like a black and white print, I think it's really nice to add like a touch of color. You could definitely keep this, you know, monochromatic. But I think adding, you know, just a little touch of color, and it doesn't have to be pool party. It can be whatever color, you know, you enjoy. This happens to be, you know, a happy color for me, but that doesn't mean, you know, this has to be what you do. But I think when you do this, then it lets kind of the paper, you know, have a moment for sure. So all right. So let's see. And then I think that I added a couple of rhinestones on this one in my sample. You can barely see it. And you could do, you know, whatever you want, but that's a fun card. It's a fun way to use, you know, little snippets. I think a lot of people will look at this paper and think they have to color it. And you could use like a sponge dauber or something to add some color to this. I wouldn't color it with a pen or a marker. I think that would take way too long. And I think that would be kind of painful. So, but you could add color in other ways. Okay. Last two, we're doing it. We're doing a good job. It's like a marathon. This one's definitely marathoning. Okay, so we have two left. The two that are left, the Tea Boutique is got a set of cards and envelopes with it. Everybody got a different set and a different color. So it features all 5 of the new in colors, and it includes coordinating matching envelopes. So a lot of the work is done for us, which is really nice. In this case, all I did was I had like 3 teacups, and I just kind of cut them out of, you know, coordinating colors. And then you can stack them up however you want. I would recommend that you stamp the what's new or whatever sentiment you want to stamp here in the right first before you glue the cups down, only because it's tight. And you don't want to, you know, not have any room to put whatever sentiment it is that you're going to put there. I think I had full intentions of sending you guys a little tiny piece of twine to put the little tea bag thing on here. And then I found the pile of them on my desk after I had mailed everybody's packets to them. So if you have a little piece of twine, you can use a piece of twine and you literally just wrap it, you know, behind the cup. And then this heart die is actually part of the hearts that coordinate with this stamp set. So there is in the die set, I was going to show you, there's a lot of these fussy cut pieces, but then there's also some hearts, some stars, some candles, and little like candle like lights and little other die pieces. So there's quite a few other pieces. Like this is like a stem for the flower. And like there's quite a few other little die cut pieces in this die set. So I just wanted to point that out. Like if you hadn't, you know, given this set, you know, a second glance, that's one reason why, you know, it's so popular. And a lot of people like it because it's got more than just the fussy cut pieces for this. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get a piece of twine out. And I would recommend, if you have glue dots, I think glue dots are the easiest way to glue down this. And I think that you guys, I think I put adhesive behind the heart on yours. Like I used adhesive sheets. So if your heart isn't already pre-glued to the white little tea bag, I used adhesive sheet on that. And so hopefully that makes it a little bit easier for you. So I'm just kind of going to stick my tea bag here, and then I'm going to kind of like pull it back behind here. And that's way too long. The tea set's cute. It has like 2 different sizes of tea bags and 2 different sizes of hearts. And it's a cute set. I wasn't, I'm not a huge, I mean, I drink tea. I like tea, but I'm more coffee based, right? And so I wasn't gonna like, you know, go crazy over the tea set, but I have had a lot of fun playing with it. And you could do your teacups either way. Like this one's kind of fun with the lemons on it, you know, so you can have your teacups go whichever way you want them to go. That's totally up to you. They're reversible for sure. I use these big panels to stick my piece on my card base. So I did pop up the whole big panel on dimensionals and just kind of stuck it on the front. And so those are two very different, I mean, you know, the look and feel of those is really different depending on the, you know, the card base background that you got. If you got Tahitian Tide or Starry Sky or Orchid Oasis. The cards, the note cards and envelopes make those cards a lot easier to make and manage. Like you can send out a lot of cards when you have card bases and envelopes that are so cute. You don't really have to add anything to them. So, all right, last one. We did it. I'm impressed. Felt like a marathon prepping it. It felt like a marathon tonight too. I hope you guys had fun. I hope you learned a little bit. This paper, the Texture Chic, is also kind of a very busy small pattern paper. Texture Chic goes with a stamp set called Seasons of Chic, and it has all 4 seasons represented. So in your, it includes card bases and envelopes. There is a Memories and More card pack that can go with this. But you'll notice on the paper that some of the paper has like seashells and some of them have snowflakes. And good, Lynn, I'm so glad you had a good time. And so, yes, what we're going to do for this is we're going to make little inchies. So we're going to take the paper and we're going to cut some little 1 inch by 1 inch pieces. And we're going to use those to make our card front. So I've already got these in 1 inch strips. And for this one, I wasn't really wanting to do a lot of like Christmas. So I tried to avoid the Christmas, but I did want to get some of the, I wanted a lot of the gold pieces because there's a lot of really cool like gold pieces in here. And so that was my goal, was to try to, you know, get some of these cool gold pieces. And then, you know, there's probably a few pieces in here that aren't going to have gold. Not everything can have gold, right? So I'm going to try to get a good balance of both the kind of floral pieces and the gold. So there's a nice, you know, floral piece. And then I'm going to rotate this and I'm going to get a nice gold piece. So a little goes a long way, I think, with this paper, as evidenced by this card. But you know, you'll definitely see samples in the catalog of, you know, whole card fronts with this, you know, polka dot or whatever. And that just, you know, felt a little heavy for me, but you know, it's very beautiful paper and it is a lot of fun to play with. So, all right, so let's get another flower. So we need 9 little pieces. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then let's go 8. All right, 8. And oh yes, 9. See if I missed anything. What's on the back side of this? Oh, that one's cool too, though. We can play around and see. All right. So then with this one, I just stamped the wishing you everything wonderful right on the card base. So that was easy. And then with this little white piece, all I did was kind of lay them out and say, okay, you know, I tried to put like my darker colors kind of away from one another. Maybe I put, you know, my pinks, you know, a little bit distanced away, or maybe my greens. And so tried to, you know, get some different color varieties in there. So maybe I don't need, so now I have like the gold is kind of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the non-gold are there. So now I can go back and I can add a little bit of glue. I think that this is probably a little bit easier done with the green glue, with the wet glue, because you have a second to kind of reposition it if you don't like, you know, where it ended up. You can say, okay, I think that that's, you know, kind of where it needs to be, and maybe I need to raise it, or, you know, move it to the left or move it to the right. So I hope that this gave you ways to use your paper. I know several of you have come back for another paper party. And I hope that it's helpful and gives you ideas and gets you into the paper. It also kind of lets you see and figure out, you know, which papers you like. Maybe, you know, there's papers you want to order more of or less of. Are we still interested in me doing one for the holiday catalog? Like, that's definitely something that, you know, I think it'll be, because
It's always great. I like
Okay.
getting ideas and samples.
Okay. Okay, good to know. I know it'll be, you know, I mean, they'll have probably a Halloween card, a fall card, maybe, or 2, and a lot of Christmas, right? Just, you know, such is the nature. I think I've picked out the stamp set I'm going to use for it. So I thought I would let you guys know ahead of time which stamp set I'm going to use. And then I'll put out like a call for it. I think I have the date selected already, because I was looking at my calendar and kind of when Marianne's going to be gone. I think I'm going to do it July 22nd. Yeah, July 22nd, which is a Friday. And that kind of works with, you know, what I've got going on. There's, you know, summer's always kind of moving parts and pieces, right? Like I'm always, I don't know, there's always something crazy going on. But let me mount this. And then I think I want to say I used Evening Evergreen to stamp this one, because I think that's the coordinating color, and it's the darkest of kind of the greens that we have. So let's see. Evening Evergreen, where are you? And then I'll show you the card I made with this set that I thought was really nice. So I did a card that featured the 4 seasons And so cutting the squares a bit bigger lets you see the pattern. So like this square is 1.5 by 1.5. And I just made sure to cut it so that you could see this was a snowflake. You could see this was a seashell. You could see these were flowers. And then I still felt like the fall leaves were hard to see on this designer series paper. So I added a foil leaf from the set. And then the sentiment is from the Seasons of Chic. It says, you make each season of life even more beautiful, which I thought was really nice. So beautiful paper. You know, definitely a set that I knew I wanted to get, but
Gorgeous.
yeah, it's
Here.
really beautiful. And these note cards and envelopes are just, they're just beautiful. Like if that doesn't look impressive coming in the mail, you know, I don't know, like I give up.
What's the set called? The note card set called?
It is called, yes, it is called, yes, hold on, I will find it. So towards the back of the catalog, if they have note cards and envelopes, they're always kind of in the back. And not that page. It's by the Memories and More because it's part of the Memories and More. It coordinates, and it's called Texture Chic Memories and More Cards and Envelopes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and I really, you know, I used them with the Memories and More kit. I thought it was a lot of fun to do the Memories and More, but I also thought that it looks just lovely with the paper, and I like faster cards and envelopes. These are also larger. They're a bit larger than our A2 cards. They're like an A6, I think. And so you can fit, yeah, it's a 6.5. So it's a 4.25 by 6.5. So the card itself is a little bit bigger too, which is nice, especially like sometimes if you want to tuck photos or things in here, it's really nice. And then let me pull up before I go, before I stop recording, let me see if I can pull up the stamp set that I'm going to use for the next paper party, because I wanted to give you guys a little, you know, sneak peek, since many of you have come back and done the paper party multiple times. So the stamp set that I'm going to use is probably one, you know, I always like to pick an unsung hero in the catalog. And I also try to find a stamp set that works for multiple sentiments, multiple opportunities. And so the one that I found that is in the holiday catalog. So for those of you who've seen the holiday catalog, if you're a demonstrator, you'll know what I'm talking about. If you don't, then you won't, and that's okay. You should be getting your holiday catalog soon. If you haven't gotten one, let me know and I'll mail one out to you. But the set is called, sorry, it's very far into the catalog, which shows you why I think it'll be an unsung hero. Here we go. It is called Very Best Occasions. And it comes with a trio punch, which is like it can punch like holes and corners and stuff. But it has Christmas sentiments. It has a grateful, a birthday, thinking of you. You make my life happier. You're the best ever. So it has a variety of sentiments, and it has several Christmas sentiments, but it also has several kind of all occasion, you know, sentiments. So I think we'll get a lot of use out of it. And it is, it's $25, or with the punch, it's bundled at $41.25. But I just wanted you to know what set I was going to use. You guys are welcome to use, you know, as always, whatever set you have. But I'll always tell you what the set is up front. So if you want to buy it on your own, you can. And if you, you know, and for those of you that want to buy it with me, that's great. And if you want to use one of your own sets, that's great too. So from what I can tell, I only made 2 mistakes on the instructions. Not bad considering. And it's on these, project 4 and 5. I will fix this on the PDF. If you already printed it, this one the designer series paper is cut to 2 3/4 by 5 1/4. And this one is cut to 3 1/2 by 5 1/4. So only 2 errors, not bad considering. So I'm going to stop the recording and then we'll, hopefully we'll see you guys